Hi friends, and welcome to another video. Today I am bringing you a horror thriller review video. If you don't know, I am a huge fan of both these genres and I often review or recommend them on my channel. So if you're looking for some, then you will definitely find them here. Today I'm just going to talk about some of the thrillers. I don't know, well, one of them can kind of be classed as a horror that I've read recently. And don't worry, I don't go into spoilers. I just tell you what I thought, being vague as possible. So the first book I have here is The Naturals by Jesslyn Barnes, I think. This is the first book in the Naturals series. I have read up to book 3, but I'll only be talking about book 1 because I don't want to spoil the previous books in the series. So, in this, you follow a ragtag group of young adults who have special gifts. And the FBI know that they have special gifts, so they take them and create a special task force. This was sold to me as Criminal Minds, but YA, which 100% made me pick this up. And now I'm interested in reading the Inheritance games by this author, which I wasn't sure if it would be my cup of tea, but now that I've read this, I do think it will be. So you follow found family, essentially. Cassie is a profiler and she was kind of self-learned how to read people by her mum, because her mum was a traveling psychic and she in turn had to read people in order to help her mum and survive, essentially. So the FBI take her to this like headquarters that's a house, and there she meets Dean, Leah, and Salone. And I loved all the characters in this book. Oh, and Michael. I don't know why I forgot Michael. I loved all the characters in this book. If you're looking for found family, I definitely recommend this because it is really that. And you get to know them all in book 1. And obviously, as the series progresses, we get more of a spotlight on other characters. But the first book is definitely more centered around Cassie. And I really enjoyed the first book. I think so far the first book is my favourite. And I don't know, I had to leave a little bit of time between reading the third and the fourth book because I didn't want to ruin my experience. And I read books 1 to 3 back to back, so I kept getting refreshers of what happened when I didn't need them. And so I wanted to leave a little bit of time, a little bit of a gap, so that I could go into book 4 with like a fresh eyes. But yeah, I really enjoyed the setting of this as well. It definitely does come across like Criminal Minds. You have to suspend your disbelief with some things, obviously. And I'm not quite sure how ethical it is to have young children looking at crime scenes. But if you suspend your disbelief, it is a very entertaining read. And the mystery running through it, there's like a little bit of romance as a plot, which I wasn't really expecting. Do I think it needed to be there? No. I think you could take the romance plot out of this book and I wouldn't care, because the other, the murder mystery, the cases, the cold cases, all of those things are a factor in this book being great. The romance just felt unnecessary to me, but I still enjoyed it. I still gave it a 4 stars. If you're looking for something that's fast, easy to read, found family with like a main plot mystery, then this would definitely fit that bill. The next thriller that I read was His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Now, I had read an Alice Feeney quite a while ago, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I can't remember. I think I listened to it in audio, and I can't remember much about it, right? What was it called? I can't even remember what one it was called. But then I picked up Good Bad Girl, and that had low ratings on Goodreads, and I really enjoyed that. I would say that one's more litfic mystery than thriller, but His and Hers is straight up psychological thriller, and I really enjoyed this. Also, this is becoming a movie. Or a TV show. It's becoming something, and I am so hyped for it. I cannot wait. I will be there with my popcorn watching this, living my best life. So in this, you follow Anna, who is a news reporter, and she lived in Blackdown, which she has to return to when a body is found murdered. And Jack, the detective on the case, is also from Blackdown and also knows Anna, having being her ex-husband. And together they kind of make a really strange investigating duo as ex-husband and wife, and also former residents and resident of this small town. So I really enjoyed this. I really did. I liked how you get Anna's chapters, you get Jack's chapters, but then you also get the killer's chapters. And the whole way through, normally when I read something like this, when I am in the killer's POV, I'm constantly looking for clues to see who it is and what's going to happen next. I would have never have gotten this. Like, I got something that was right but also wrong, and the reveal at the end was very satisfying for me. I gave this a 4 stars. I cannot wait for the film. The characters, Alice Feeney writes characters. I don't know if it's because they're UK based, I'm from the UK, and it just, I never notice language, and I never notice things being different when I read like American based books, because I just like automatically fill in the British for it. So like if I'm reading garbage, I'll be like, okay, the bins. Like we don't say things the same. Like the trash can is called a bin, and so my mind just automatically fills in the UK version. If I'm reading something in American, I will like translate to myself. But when I read Alice Feeney, I like that I don't have to. I find this with a lot of UK based authors. Like, I don't notice I'm doing it until I read something UK based, and I'm like, oh, I didn't have to change that in my mind. Like, this doesn't matter. But I don't know if that sounds really silly or not, but I just think that when I read Alice Feeney, it feels familial, and I really enjoy that. I think that maybe Alice Feeney is a writer that I could potentially enjoy a lot, because I gave Good Bad Girl 4 stars. I've now gave His and Hers 4 stars, and I cannot for the life of me remember the one that I read. It's the one where the guy has face blindness and they go to a secluded cabin. Rock, paper, scissors, is that it? I'm pretty sure it's Rock, Paper, Scissors. And I'm pretty sure at the time I read that, I gave it 4 stars. So maybe I've just overlooked Alice Feeney as an author. But I do think that I will be picking more of their books up, the backlists that I have. And I'll definitely be looking out for new releases. Because in His and Hers, the way the characters were written, the setting, the plot, the way the killer took on a POV, all just lined up to be a really good thriller for me. So I definitely will be looking out more for this author. Next here, I have You, Me, Her by Sue Watson. This was an on-the-whim read for me. It was on Kindle Unlimited. I had a spare minute, so I read it. There was promising things in this story, but unfortunately, it fell a little flat for me at a 3.25 star. So in this, you follow Rachel and Tom, and Rachel's father passed away, leaving her a substantial amount of money, and they decided to invest it in a house. Not a bad idea, but when your husband takes all the money and buys a lot of upgrades for this house, and you kind of feel like you didn't really have a say, things aren't always that great. Like, on the outside, it looks like Tom and Rachel are having the perfect marriage. They've just bought a beautiful house next to the water, which you're scared of, but yet your husband picked this. Also, your husband picked to put a swimming pool in, even though you knows you're deathly terrified of water. Like, for me, this book just, it had potential. The writing was alright, and I think if the plot wasn't so predictable, then it would have been a hit for me. So with this one, it's hard because I don't want to say too much because I found it predictable. as I said, the writing was good, and if it wasn't predictable, I probably would have really enjoyed this story. But straight off the back of this book, like 2-3 chapters in, I had guessed what was going to happen. This is not one that I would recommend if you are a seasoned thriller reader. I will, however, look out more for this author because I think that she could do a good job. I think if it was something just a little bit more unique, something not so predictable, then I would have really enjoyed this author's writing. So yeah, this is probably one that I wouldn't recommend, which is unfortunate, but because I read so many thrillers, there's going to be duds. And the final book I have to talk about today is Cloud in a Cornfield 3, The Church of Fro. Now, I live for this series. Another 4 stars. I can't, like, for me, these are just fun. Like, I wish I had these when I was a teenager because I would have just ate this shit up, right? I do it now as an adult, but I feel like I would have just connected a little bit more as a teenager. But anyways, I don't want to go into too much detail about this because it is the 3rd book in a series. I highly recommend reading the first book. In the first book, we follow Quinn, who moves to a small town from Philly, and she's just getting her bearings in this town when she senses a little bit of tension between the young adults that live there and the adults. And it turns out that this town is really wanting to go back to its old ways, and then destruction, chaos, murder ensues. In the 3rd book, we take on a different narrative. And one thing I will say, there is 2 characters from the previous 2 books that aren't really in this book, and I was really, really sad about that. I do wish they were in this book. It makes me think that there is going to be a 4th book because I need some kind of closure. I need to see those characters again. But I liked that this took on a bit more of a different narrative, a different perspective, because in books 1 and 2, we're in a very specific place with very specific characters doing very, specific things. But in this book, we're following one of those characters in a different setting, and we also have a second POV that we've never met before come in, and we have a situation that is not like the previous books, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like this is going to be a hit or a miss for some people, because if you want a kind of replication or an escalation of book 1 and 2, you get it, but you just don't get it maybe how you're expecting to. And that's why I loved this, because it gave me a whole fresh new narrative to follow. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I can't say much about it because it's a 3rd book in a series, but I do highly recommend all 3 of these books. Again, this is YA, these are horror, they're fun, they're fast. They still have actually kind of like a found family element as well, and the stakes are high. They're slashers. I love a good slasher. So yeah, I would highly recommend this trilogy so far. But just know that when you get to this book, there is a shift, and you're either going to like it or you're not. And I liked it, which I'm happy about. And those are the 4 books I have to talk about today. I would recommend His and Hers, Cloud in a Cornfield, the whole trilogy, and The Naturals. I would not recommend You, Me, Her, but I may pick this author up again in the future because I do have hopes that they can have a hit for me because I did enjoy the writing. So that is all I have. I hope you enjoyed these videos. I have more thriller reviews on my channel, and I have more thriller recommendations coming. So if you would like more spooky, intense vibes on your TBR, then please subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. Thank you so very much for watching. Remember to have a great day, a great week, a great weekend, whenever the hell you're watching this. Remember to stay safe, happy and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Pick it up from the top, hit